Steve, Stefan, welcome to Bullseye. It's great to have you here on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks.
I feel like the last 5-ish years of your band has been about the question, what does it mean to be a real grown adult in a punk rock band?
That sounds right. Yeah.
Is that an issue that you've wrestled with?
Yeah, well, as you can tell, we're grown adults in a punk rock band, so it is a strange thing. You know, one thing I always thought about as we got older was that there's a lot of punk bands who made great music and got older and tried to make music about still being young.
It's grim. It's pretty grim.
It's just a bit too bleak for me. I was kind of like, I always wanted to hear these bands that I like loved when they were young make records about what it's like to, I mean, we're not old, but like some of them are old, and it's like, yeah, make a record about what it's like to be like 65 and still playing punk for younger people and what that feels like. That, to me, that's interesting. So when I'm 65, that's what we're doing.
How does it feel different for you right now in your 30s?
I guess your body doesn't recover. We used to be able to do no days off and sleep on strange kitchen floors and drink or not drink or, whatever and be fine. And now if I'm like, my pillow is too soft, I'm just like, oh no. But I think like Nestor, our plays bass in the band, like has 2 kids, and we have partners and pets and all that sort of stuff, and it's harder to go away for weeks and months at a time. But that is kind of we're lucky. I think we have supportive partners who understand that is kind of the reality of being in a band in 2025.
It took me a while to let it sink in, the way that you never say what you're really thinking. It took me a while to find out. I keep fighting the feeling, and once again I've been lucid dreaming. Turn the TV on, but the thoughts won't stop, so I rip out the cord, but I just can't turn them off. The first night without you, I collapsed on the living room floor.
I had this experience. We were talking about baseball before we started talking on mic, and I had this experience of I had been trying to explain a baseball player named Joey Votto to my comedy partner with whom I tour. And I read this interview with Joey Votto where he described all the things that he brings with him on a road trip, because, ball players are in a town for a few days at a time. And it was so considered and specific. And I thought, this is what it is to be maybe he was 39 at the time, to be a guy who travels for a living at age 39 and then has to get the most out of himself every single day. Is he has this kind of clock, this kind of pillow, like every single specific choice was made with consideration, so that when it was 7:00 and he ran in between the lines, he could be the best version of himself. And I really admired it, frankly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a fussy guy in that way, but I was like, this is great. I wish I could perform at my peak level.
I feel like we're all pretty streamlined in that regard. Like I just got to a point where I was like, I just want the same shirt, the same white t-shirt every day. And then I just don't have to think about that. And like, this is the little towel that I bring. I don't know. I feel like
you're a towel boy?
I've got a little pack towel. I have it with me. I don't need it, but I have it. It's one of those things that I have with me.
Just to be clear,
right now?
No.
Just to be clear, I don't need the towel.
Yeah. It's just like, I guess my point is like that.
We enjoy each other's company.
Yeah. That I have like, I understand that of sort of like, these are the things that I bring on tour because they make it easier to feel like I can go out on stage or whatever in a way that kind of puts the focus and the energy on performing for people. Yeah. Do you have any of those things?
I mean, I think for me, it's less of like a bodily comfort thing. It's more of I don't know if existential is the word I would use, but it's more of you've kind of made this pact with yourself and with your friends that you're going to spend all the years of your life that most people use to build a career that will last them till they're in their mid-60s or whatever. You're going to use all of those years to do this thing that usually doesn't last. You don't think about touring 150 days a year in your mid-30s when you start a punk band when you're 22, It's not something that factors into the equation.
What's it like when you're 22?
It's just like dumb.
I think I described it to someone the other day. Like, there's like a healthy level of delusion you need to have. I think we had to have some level of like, this is crazy, but if we don't do it, we might regret it. And I feel like when you play music with people and you enjoy it, it's so rare to find yourself in a situation where the other people in the band, the four of us, all have like a kind of that mindset of like, yeah, let's actually try and do this. So I think we recognized how special that was and how lucky we were to be in that situation, to like allow us to kind of be this like 11-seat Chevy van, like full of delusion.
That's a weird way to put it. It's interesting.
But like, I think like, cause you have to, the amount of sacrifice and like you were saying, like, just kind of how difficult and it's like it was like it's quite a needle to thread, I guess is the thing. And most people do not ever get the opportunity to thread that needle. And we have been able to thread it many times, which is wild.
I mean, you started your careers at a time when the kind of music that you were making, both punk rock and, whatever you want to call it, indie or college rock or alternative rock or whatever, the two sort of lanes where your music might be able to fit in, were essentially disappearing from commercial viability.
Yes, correct.
Like you were like, great, the last time a punk band was on MTV was 2 years ago. Let's get in the tour bus.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, that's true. But, I always think about this because it's so easy to think like, if we had just been a band, we have friends who are in, relatively, mid-level rock bands, 8 years before us and became millionaires because they sold records and stuff. It's so easy to fall into that trap of, oh, if only we had like done this at this time. And I think like you just got to look on you got to find the positives. Like, for instance, like I might be speaking out of turn here, but from what I can see, we were maybe the last generation of bands who was like, well, like social media is social media, but we're just going to get in the van and tour until people pay attention to us. I don't think that really happens that much anymore, at least not in our community. It's more like, well, put out songs, put out videos, see what you can get. And then once people care, go on tour. We were like, the first 2-3 years we were on tour, we were playing to 5 people every night and it didn't bother us. And we were one of the last group of bands who touring was still financially feasible. Like you could still go out and like make money, but maybe you wouldn't bankrupt yourself.
You could fill the gas tank to get to the next show.
Yeah.
I was going to say, how do you eat when you're selling 20 tickets and there's 4 guys?
Well, we
thriftily.
We had a tour in the UK, our first tour that we called the Hunger Strike Tour. Essentially, like we were paying ourselves £5 a day, and we made a deal with every venue and house show that we played that they would have to feed us or else we weren't going to play. And so we would take our £5, hopefully from the merch sales the night before, often not, and we would get this thing called nourishment, which is like
it's like a
supplement?
make a meal replacement.
Meal replacement, yeah.
Like a milkshake.
Like an Ensure.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
a can, but they come in like cans.
It was,
like, which is
every morning it was just coffee and Ensure, and then get in the van and hopefully not be grumpy enough to break up the band by the time you got to the venue, and then the venue would feed us and away we go.
Yeah.
It was fun.
If this tour doesn't kill you, then I will. cigarettes and it makes me ill. Seeing your face every morning. One more month and 22 days. If this tour doesn't kill you, I may. I'm counting down the miles till we leave the state. I'm counting down the minutes till I can't erase every memory of you. For a second, let's be honest, nothing will clean your filthy conscience. Everything you do makes me wanna vomit. And if this tour doesn't kill you, buddy, I'm on.
When you go to a show, do you throw your body around still?
Yeah. Oh wait, when we're attending as
When you
fans.
attend.
I think if it's like a rowdy show, I think I'm like very comfortable being pit dad now,
What is Pit Dad's
which
job?
is sort of like you stand on the outside of the mosh pit, kind of, and you have an arm like this so that
up so the forearm is
you just
like a
kind of keep
forearm
it.
shiver
Yeah, you
position.
can kind of keep it so that if anyone kind of falls back, they're not taking out unsuspecting crowd members. You can help pick someone up. But like we were in Europe like a month ago, and my knee just was hurting, you know?
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, okay, if I can just have knee issue, I feel like the mosh pit is not for me. I'll hang back, make sure that nobody gets hurt, including myself. But yeah, I don't need to be that deep in it anymore.
You sound much older than you are.
I don't know what happened with my knee. It's gone now, but it just was.
What about you, Stefan?
I love a balcony.
Yeah,
I love a balcony. Yeah.
just hang out in the wings.
Yeah.
You've graduated to have a backstage pass.
Well, like I think I'm in the 0.01 percentile of people who have crowd surfed the most in the world. So I've done my time, and I still do my time. I still get in there most nights. Like when we're on tour, I'm still in the pit somehow. When we're not on tour, I'm just like, I'm usually going to rowdy shows to like watch my friends play, and I'm like, yeah, I just want to be in the wings or on the balcony and watch my pals.
Is the pit different for your shows now
Then
it was 10 years ago?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think when it started, it was a lot of like smelly punk dudes, and now it's a lot of all kinds of smelly punks, and that's been I think a really cool thing for us. Is
safer,
like,
more inclusive.
Yeah, that that was something that we prioritized, not as like a badge of honor, but just because that was sort of the world of like all ages shows that in Toronto growing up was kind of like it's almost taken for granted that like you don't realize that wasn't the case for everyone. Like we had all ages venues where it was kind of more diverse than some of the places that we were playing initially in this band. So to be able to have, try and build like lineups that didn't just feature white dudes or whatever, like that was just something that to us felt like a pretty natural extension of how we got into punk rock in the first place. So it's been nice to see that almost take on a life of its own with the people who come to the shows. Yeah.
Our shows are full of freaks, which is really rewarding.
Yeah, it rocks.
It's real. Yeah. Like, I don't, nothing against it, but I just don't want to, I don't see us being the normie band, it's really nice that like Steve was saying, it's like the pit at a PUP show is usually like, there's the lifelong punks. And then there's also like 14-year-old kids with weird hair going on their first show ever and everything in between. And it's like, the greatest thing about that is that it just feels normal and natural. Like it feels like everyone's just like there for the same reason and care about looking after each other and care about the environment, maybe more than the band, which like sounds weird, but it's like, that's really important because when I started going to shows, like I'm a small guy, I was a small kid, and like I was just getting ruthlessly crushed at hardcore shows. Not that we're a hardcore band, but like, I remember like loving bands and loving live music and also like feeling scared to go. And I feel like at PUP shows, it's like, if you're nervous, somebody's probably going to help you. And if you're one of the people who want to go really hard, there's going to be a spot for you in the venue to do that as well. So yeah, it all feels like, I feel really, we all feel really lucky to get to do that and feel like really like we've been a part of a positive experience for other people.
What did punk rock mean to you as a kid? How did you get into the scene in the Toronto area where you're from?
Well, 9/11 and Iraq. Like honestly, like I was in grade 9. I think I had just seen Blink-182. Bad Religion opened for them. That was the first kind of place that it felt like someone was saying no to, whatever I was seeing on the news. And that was like right around the time that I met like Zach and Nestor and was like playing guitar, I think I'd been playing the guitar for like a year or two. So, and then my dad had some Clash records,
What about for you, Stefan?
Steve was kind of talking about it before, like the really strong all ages community in Toronto. I actually, strangely, like I had been to a few shows, but I started going to shows because I was like playing in bands, which is like a really exciting, unique experience. I think that like I didn't realize didn't exist everywhere else till we started touring. Whereas like there was a bunch of all ages venues in Toronto and the promoters, the people who were putting on shows, they were booking like touring bands and they were always like trying to, if you were a 14-year-old kid going to those shows, those promoters were like trying to like be like, hey, can you guys start a band? Because we need people to open these shows. Like, there are all ages shows every single night in Toronto. And so I just got like, I learned to play guitar because my friend wanted me to play in his band. And I learned guitar in a month poorly and played in his band poorly. And then I just started being at those shows and going to shows and supporting other bands. And it's like a really wonderful way to kind of come up in music, I think. Really community oriented.
Hiding out of the back of a parking lot. 1,000 choices that I probably should have called off. A day on every little thing. I don't eat, I don't sleep, I don't do anything. Lately I started to feel like it's slowly dying. And if I'm being real, I don't even mind whether I'm at my worst or I'm totally fine.
I'm one of the least punk rock guys I know, but but I did go to arts high school with a lot of kids who are really serious about punk rock, and I got the impression from them that as much as they loved the music, which they did, it was about community much more than that.
Yeah, for sure. I think like all those people are just like looking for some sense of belonging, and to feel like you're part of something and to make friends with other people who are trying to do something. Like, it was like, not to say we weren't smoking weed, but like, we were focused on something that in some sense it was productive. Like we were all trying to play music and learn about music and figure out being in bands and figure out writing songs and stuff like that. And, a lot of my other friends who weren't doing that were just kind of, maybe regret that, they were involved in other stuff.
And I think that the fact that we got to sort of almost help create a new community for ourselves by doing that kind of touring and getting in the van and, meeting like Jeff, right? Like Jeff Rosenstock, one of our dear friends, who's also an amazing musician and principled punk, like meeting him for the first time on a tour and being like, how do we not know really know each other? And just all these people that we connected with, you do kind of, as much as it's a local thing and community is at home, there is sort of I'm not trying to be like make global local or whatever, you know, like some sort of like like a Whole Foods slogan, but like you know, to meet those people all over, and to you know, to know that there are friends in the UK whose floor that we slept on, that anytime they need something in, you know, Canada, wherever, you know, that just like is so special. That to me is like kind of is, those are lifelong friends. Those are lifelong people whose views on the world have helped shape ours, and hopefully vice versa. And I think that's like really a special kind of community too.
You mentioned the idea of being a principled punk.
I'm trying.
Outside of singing with a hint of contempt in your voice, what are the principles of punk rock that mean the most to you?
I think there's a strong undercurrent of social justice, of like queer and trans liberation, of standing up for what you believe is right and trying to make room for voices and viewpoints that nuance or even contradict that. And, you know, allowing yourself to not be so steadfast in your beliefs that they can't be changed if you feel like something convinces you, right? If someone's perspective that you hadn't considered before convinces you that, hey, I can look at the world differently. I can think about things differently than I would 5 years ago when I hadn't been exposed to this perspective. And also playing loud guitars.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah.
I think when you make punk rock, emotional tumult can sometimes come out on record as a sort of self-destructiveness. And there are, you know, self-destructive records in your catalog. How do you feel about those themes as a 30-something relative to how you felt about them as a 24-year-old or whatever?
Yeah, it's different. I mean, like, I love all of my children. Like I'm proud of the songs that we wrote when we were, you know, in our early and mid 20s. They are 100% not the songs that I would write now.
What's a song that you wrote back then that you love that you wouldn't write now?
Well, you know, we have the song DVP, which is, you know, there's a pretty obvious streak of self-destructiveness through that song. That song's done well for us, and I feel proud and excited and happy to play it every night. But, you know, there's one thing about writing about drinking too much when you're 24, and then it stops becoming cute at a certain point, by an age where you should know better, hopefully, or not should. That's putting too much value on it. But you hope that you've moved past that to grapple with hopefully bigger issues. I don't feel in any way at all bad or ashamed about having written that song when that felt like that was my life. Like, it comes from a very honest place. But, you know, now I definitely have this feeling of like there being a little bit more of now that some people care about this band. You know, the other thing is like DVP was written when nobody cared about that. It cared about PUP. And there is a bit of responsibility, I think, that comes with this, especially when, like I was saying, you know, as much as there are people our age, there's like 14-year-olds at the show. It's like, I think that it's a position that I never expected to be in, where some teenagers are listening to the things that we're saying. And with that, it's just something to be aware of and conscious of. And I don't think I drink too much anymore. I think I probably drink the appropriate amount for my brain. So yeah, that was a long roundabout way of saying DEP, great song, listen to it.
What's a song that you've written, say, for this new record that you don't think you could have written 10 years ago?
You know, I think there's a song like that closes the record called Shut Up that is sort of down tempo. There's a lot of like ethereal, like your kind of voice and guitar are very, very exposed in the beginning. And there's like, I think, a level of trust when you bring a song that is that vulnerable, that I think for a lot of the years, we almost would try and mask that vulnerability either through complication of like arrangement or like writing the actual music, or just like playing it louder and faster. It's a different kind of comfort with each other to allow that vulnerability to actually be the kind of centerpiece of a piece of music or a song.
Another day spent laying in. Same pants you were sleeping in. Start early in the negatives. I'll keep the shutter shut. I think I'm purposeless, such an idiot, oblivious. You're working through the evenings, I'm working through the fog. You've got your master's thesis, I've got my stupid little songs.
I hear that growth. I hear the four of us listening to each other. The end of the song has this sort of like noisy, kind of loud, it feels almost improvised, which is not a thing that like we do very much with the band at all. And I hear us listening to each other in the studio when I listen to that. And again, that's a different type of vulnerability and a different type of openness that I think we're still, even 15 years into writing songs, 12 years into writing songs, however long it's been, almost still scratching at the surface. Like it's exciting to me that there are things that feel like breakthroughs still.
You have a duet on this record, Stefan, with Jeff Rosenstock.
Mm-hmm.
Duets in this type of music are relatively unusual, and they're a little different from Barbra Streisand and Chris Christopherson or whatever. It sounds like the two of you guys yelling at each other. The song is called Get Dumber. Is it literally the two of you yelling at each other?
Yeah, same room, facing each other. Mics on both of us, just facing each other, screaming into each other's faces. It's
I have
great.
the video if you want to see it.
It was a really exciting way to record. It's like, please, like you get 2/3 of the way through and it's like, this is going great. Please don't this up.
There's a part where somebody, I think Jeff Rosenstock, forgets the lyrics and just yells lyrics.
Yeah. It was, we thought about doing another take,
Like
but
yells
that's kind
the
of magic.
word lyrics.
Yeah,
He
that's
has lyrics.
That's kind of the best part of like when you're not a singer and you're just in the control room and something like that happens, you realize the like unbelievable amount of power you have. Just like John Congleton was sitting there, we're like, John, leave it in. We're keeping it. Like that's the take, man. Like,
yeah, everything else about the take was really good, and that was the best part about the take. So, I feel really lucky, to get to do that song with Jeff. I wrote that song in Jeff's house with all of his gear and recorded it on his computer. So just felt natural that he would be singing it.
How does it feel to be generating that level of intensity as a singer while also receiving it from someone else?
I have never thought about that, and it's a wonderful question. You know what? I have to give Jeff credit where it's due because, you know, most of this record, how we recorded it was like we'd record the instruments live off the floor. We'd punch up a thing here, there, fix a mistake if we had to, and then I would go in and sing on top of it. And so I figured when Jeff was there, I was like, I'll sing my part, you sing your part. Great. He's like, nah, we're gonna sing this together because I don't think I can catch a vibe off being in a room alone and having everyone look at me like that. And I was like, all right, well, let's get in there together. Yeah, there is a sort of ineffable energy to that song because of that.
Can I ask a practical question about being the vocalist in a punk rock band? How do you do it when you're on tour? How do you do it every night?
Sucks.
Because like if you're you know how they have these things about metal guys that have those beautiful wails, and then they turn 27 and then someone says you have to hire this vocal coach to teach you how to support your wails so that you're not destroying your throat, right? Yeah. But like yelling, like full yelling,
yeah,
which is essential to your vocal style,
yeah,
is not a thing you can just support from your diaphragm and have it not be an issue.
Yeah, it's really tough. Steve can attest, I've really gone through it.
Yeah. I mean, once in Baltimore, Maryland, I thought there was no band anymore.
Yeah. You kind of go through it, but you know, there's a lot of boring things that I can tell you about, which is like warming up and drinking obscene amounts of water, and also like kind of being the boring one on tour who just parties less and drinks less and is in bed first. And then there's the other stuff, which is maybe a bit less, I don't know if it's as practical, but it's coming to terms with the fact that there's no way to do this, like to yell without it being harmful. And all you can do is your best to mitigate that. And also like, you know, that's kind of something that I've felt like in life in general as I've gotten older is like, it's very rare that you're going to be your very best self. And all you can do is be the best self that you can be in that moment. So like I go out there and I sing my best and yell my best every night. And sometimes my best is great. And sometimes my best is like, that kind of sucked. But like the wonderful thing about being in a kind of aggressive-ish punk band and also being in a band that has been historically so unbelievably self-deprecating is that people don't seem to mind too much if I go out there and my voice is mangled, as long as I'm giving it my best and as long as the four of us look like we're having a good time, which we almost always are on stage, as long as like that intensity is there, like people don't expect us or even want us to be perfect. Some of our best shows have been like on a technical level or on a performance level disastrous, but we caught a feeling and we shared something with the crowd, and that's what's special. Like I feel so much when I think about singers, like I can't even understand what it's like for Adele to go through her stuff, where every time she steps on stage, people have an expectation that her voice is going to be beautiful and she's going to hit all the notes and she's going to sound awesome. It's like, we've set it up so that people do not have that expectation.
Stefan, will you do your vocal warm-ups for us?
Tina, 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 Tina. It's 20 minutes of that.
It's that, yeah.
It's all Tina?
No, then you switch it and you say naughty.
Aha.
They call it my naughty Tinas.
Yeah, like before we all realized that doing vocal warm-ups is a sensible thing, even as a guitar player, we would be like, oh, off he goes to do his naughty Tina. And, but yeah, I mean, it's, basically that. You know, that sort of stuff.
You know, it's boring as hell, but I feel the need to say it now is, it's like that is like 50% about like warming your voice up and 50% about getting into like kind of what Steve was saying, clearing your brain, getting ready to like, you know, like it's not exclusive to me. in our band, but I will just talk about my personal perspective is like, as somebody deals with a bunch of mental health things, you don't get a choice. You're playing a show and you can be you can feel manic, or you can feel like the worst version of yourself that you've ever felt. And you're still going to go out on that stage. And sometimes, like, we just did this tour in January in hockey arenas in Canada. And it was like, one of those days was the worst emotional day of my life, not for any particular reason, just mental health, bad day. And it was like, well, at the end of this vocal warm up, I am going to step out onto that stage in front of 20,000 people, regardless of how I'm feeling. And so like 50% of that is like getting your voice working. The other 50% is like, doesn't matter. You're about to do this. So get your head straight,
Well, Stefan, thank you so much for taking all this time to talk to me on Bullseye. It was really great to get to know you.
Yeah, thank you.